Divorce speaks of pain, hardship, separation, alienation, loneliness, hatred, bitterness. Divorce is a very pain-racked word. It's an incredibly painful experience. And in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus addresses the issue of divorce. He says, "It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, causes her to become an adulteress. And anyone who marries the divorced woman commits adultery." Divorce is not God's best. Loyalty, faithfulness is God's best. Forgiveness, reconciliation is God's best. And yet Jesus allows for divorce in the case of sexual unfaithfulness. When the sin of adultery has been committed, Jesus allows for divorce. But in Matthew chapter 19, Jesus states very clearly that Moses allowed you guys to divorce your wives and give her a certificate of divorce because of the hardness of your hearts. And divorce is always a matter of the hardness of at least one, if not two, human hearts. What does that mean? You and I as human beings can become hardened by pride. Pride is lethal. For a proud person is always blaming someone else for all the problems in a marriage. A proud person is never willing to take responsibility for the way they have messed up, for their own sins, for the mistakes that they have made. And it is that hardness of heart produced by pride that makes reconciliation almost impossible. How does reconciliation happen? Reconciliation happens when I begin to take responsibility for my sins, for the wrongs that I have done. Reconciliation occurs when I'm willing to say to my spouse, I am genuinely sorry for the way I hurt you, for the wrong that I did to you. Then it's possible for forgiveness to begin, for hurts, deep hurts, to begin to be healed. And that is the message of the Bible. You and I have rebelled against God. We have become separated from God. But God is a God who humbles himself, who sends his only son Jesus in the form of a little baby at first, to live a sinless life on earth, and then to bleed and die on a cross, to take the hit that we deserve for our sin. What an amazing offer of forgiveness. And when you and I put our faith in Christ, it begins by humbling ourselves, allowing God's Spirit to soften our hearts, taking responsibility for the wrong decisions we have made, and asking Christ for forgiveness. And then when we allow Christ to make a big deposit of his love into our lives, that frees us to be humble and to ask for forgiveness when we blow it, and also to grant forgiveness when someone has hurt us. Has someone hurt you? You've got to make a decision, don't you? Will you seek revenge? Will you cut that person off at the knees? Will you throw the book at the person? Or will you choose to forgive the person? Will you choose to work for peace and reconciliation? Yes, Jesus does allow for divorce. Why? Because of the hardness of the human heart. And that hardness is on display every day on the evening news, in the newspaper you read, and in the life that you live. We read in Exodus that Pharaoh hardened his heart. Pharaoh made a decision to stubbornly rebel against God. You can make that decision, so can I. A proud person is a person who is essentially hardening their heart. Essentially, pride is playing God. And that's what moral relativism is. Moral relativism is the quickest way to deify my own opinion I know. It's saying there is no God, morality is relative, which means whatever I say is good, and whatever I say is evil. And of course that could change tomorrow, and I won't be inconsistent, because everything's relative, which means right and wrong are simply a matter of personal prejudice, bias, and opinion. Jesus Christ says you know better than that. You know that there are certain actions and behaviors that never are right. They're always wrong. That's why often you'll look into the face of your spouse and you'll say, you should not, you ought not to have said that to me or done that to me. And whenever you use those words, should and ought, you're appealing to a standard outside of you and your spouse. And you're saying, you know something? That was really wrong. That really hurt. Please do not do that again. And you're right. You're onto something. You and I are sinners, which means we have broken God's moral laws. We have broken his objective morality. We have chosen not to love God and not to love each other. We've chosen to become self-centered. We've chosen to become manipulative. We've chosen to become control freaks. We have chosen to seek revenge when we're hurt instead of forgiving. Now, Jesus Christ says, come to me. I want to make a deposit of love into your life, God's love. And I want you to allow that love to change you so that you will be someone who works for reconciliation instead of alienation. So that you will be someone who works for forgiveness instead of revenge and cutting people out of your life. Jesus Christ calls you and me to put our faith and trust in Him, to commit our lives to Him, and then to enjoy the amazing life of love that He enables us to live. God bless you as you make that most important decision. I'm the pastor of Grace Community Church. We meet every Sunday morning at 9:30 at Sachs Middle School in New Canaan, Connecticut. I'd love to invite you to join us this Sunday for our 9:30 service. Take the Merritt Parkway to exit 37, go to the end of the ramp, take a left onto Route 124, go approximately 1 mile, and take a right into Sachs Middle School. I'd love to greet you personally. Won't you join us this Sunday? Thanks for sharing these few minutes with us. Have a great day.
Give me an answer.